And I'll link that in the description so you don't have to go searching like I just did if you want to buy the phone too. I don't get any kickbacks. I'm not, I don't have any affiliate links with nothing. It's just, I'm just providing a good phone at a good price, right? Okay, so check this out. Daniel, what's going on, brother? We got some CMF watch news here coming up shortly. I got about 20 minutes left, so give me a second. Okay. So, Samsung. As time goes on, look, we're still 6 months away from the launch of the S25 series, but as you know, slowly but surely, every few weeks you get a new leak of certain specs that come out on Samsung's new model, or with, I guess, technically every phone that is approaching launch, we get leaks. And basically, when the phone gets launched, we typically know what it's the specs and all that stuff it's going to have in it. We found out today, and now these come out because they actually signed deals and agreements with suppliers, right? So that's how this news today, where there is no major camera upgrade tipped for the S25 and S25 Plus, right? The Ultra is set aside. We're talking about the S25, S25 Plus. No camera upgrades, meaning the cameras that's in the S24 and S24 Plus are going to be the cameras that's in the S25 and S25 Plus. Now, how do we get that news? Well, typically around this time, as I mentioned yesterday, the life cycle of a device and how time frame of when these get launched. Right now, because Samsung's 6 months away, 6 or 7 months away from launching the S25. Right now, literally right now, on June 19th, is when Samsung is signing agreements, making deals with suppliers for parts that are going to go inside of these devices. And that's how a lot of these leaks get out, right? Through the suppliers. A lot of the phone leaks of what the device actually looks like, guess what? Are leaked by the case manufacturers or somebody working in, I don't know, Spigen or typically it's not Spigen, because they're probably one of the well-known cases and would get case companies and would get in trouble. It's typically the lesser-known case companies. The more well-known brands don't want to risk that ruining that relationship because they would get in trouble. Samsung call them, hey, did you, or Google, like with all these Pixel 9 photos that have been leaking out. I guarantee you one of them was from a case manufacturer, from somebody that works inside the building. You know, take a quick couple snapshots of the Pixel, save it, and then put it up for sale, because that's how it works. And then a tipster will buy them or something. They DM who's a real Ice Universe or whatever on Twitter. Anyways, blah blah blah. So it's gonna have the same camera setup. So Samsung may reuse its aging 50 megapixel camera on this S25, right? So the base and plus models of Samsung's flagship smartphones have featured a 50 megapixel primary rear camera sensor since 2022. However, while the Galaxy S22 and Galaxy S22 Plus use the ISOCELL GN5 sensor, the company switched to the ISOCELL GN3 in 2023. This year's model also uses the latter, the ISOCELL GN3. It's unclear if the S25 lineup will keep the same sensor or get a new one, but a resolution upgrade does not appear to be on schedule. So, good news and bad news. It depends on how you want to look at it. I like to look at it as, look, at first thought, right? Literally at first thought, when you see this headline, you're like, damn, you're not going to get a camera upgrade? But then, my second thought was, well, you know what? That's not such a bad thing. Always bring this up. Pixel, right? They use that 12 megapixel sensor for years. Ever since, did they put it in any of the Nexus devices? I don't think so. Anyways, from the OG Pixel all the way up to the Pixel 5, I believe. 12 of fame. This is probably, it'll probably go down in camera sensor Hall of Fame, if there is a camera sensor Hall of Fame. Maybe a number one on the list, right? So Google famously used, famous in my book, used a 12 megapixel sensor, Sony sensor. I don't know if it was I don't know what model number it was, but hear me out. This is not a bad thing. If you're interested in the S25 series, this is not necessarily a bad thing. And for example, Google used this 12 megapixel sensor for roughly 5 years, for 5 models, right? Over and over and over. Every single year, photo quality got better and better and better, right? So how is that possible? Well, it has to do with how the phone, how the processor, the CPU, and how the photo that is snapped, how it's processed, right? Post-processing imagery. So basically that same sensor can get better and better over time by the sheer fact that Google and or now Samsung can finely tweak that sensor ever so slightly every year, even throughout the life of the device. With every update, they'll improve it. So Google literally squeezed every ounce of juice out of that 12 megapixel sensor, and it performed awesome. That's what got Google Pixel probably most well known for being one of the better smartphones with a camera, right? I was listening to a YouTube live stream that was not about technology yesterday, and somebody said, "Oh, I have an Android." They were dogging this person about having an Android, and happens all the time. So and the person said, "Well, I have a Pixel, but I also have an iPhone." And the other person was saying, "Oh, yeah, the Pixel. They're known for their taking good videos or cameras, right?" And the other person that had the Pixel was like, "Yeah, it takes awesome photos." There you go. Just a random conversation on a random YouTube channel, not about technology. The third person there said, "Oh, you have a Pixel? Aren't those known for taking good photos?" Well, that 12 megapixel sensor that Google used for year after year after year after year got Google this reputation of the Pixel, this reputation of taking good photos. So, long story short, not bad news here. Samsung, I'm sure, will tweak this sensor, but also here's another point. So if Samsung moved to a new sensor, let's say they put in a 64 megapixel, I don't know, whatever, Sony IMX 89, well, what have you, it doesn't matter. Let's say they move to a brand new sensor, right? You could look at it, maybe that's not so good news right off of the bat, right? Because they're not used to this sensor. They don't know how it performs. Now, of course, they do testing before they're going to release the phone with a new sensor in it. But I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in that sensor until maybe year 2, year 3, right? Probably year 2. Now, it should take phenomenal photos. It has better hardware, right? But remember, they don't just throw a sensor in a phone. You have to tweak it. There's a lot of testing that goes on, and they might not have just the perfect setup with a brand new sensor. It may take them 4 months of tweaking. It may take them 6 months of tweaking. Hell, it might even take them a year or 2 years. Again, Google, 5 years. So I don't really necessarily see this as bad news. Again, in the new processor, will process images even better, right? So you'll see a slight improvements, I think, on the S25 compared to the S24. Not major improvements, slight improvements, right? Again, tweaking. So we got this information. So let's see. That's all that was in there, wasn't it? What about the S25? The next S25 Ultra will reportedly feature a 50 megapixel ultra wide lens instead of the 12 megapixel and 50 megapixel 3x zoom camera instead of the 10 megapixel. So the S25 will get a sensor upgrade. Again, the S25 Ultra has a the S24 Ultra, the one I have here, has a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. The S25 Ultra is getting a 50 megapixel ultra wide sensor. The S24 that I have ultra right here has a 10 megapixel 3x zoom camera sensor on it. The S25 Ultra, next year's model, is going to get a 50 megapixel 3x zoom camera sensor. So it looks like the Ultra will be upgraded. Looks like the base and the Plus will not. Interesting set of events and decisions, but look, they know better than we do. So before you go out and blast them for making bad decisions, oh, it's going to suck, oh, it's going to do this, going to do that, let's just wait and see, right? Nobody knows until we get them in hand, until we get a few updates. So I have confidence in saying they know what they're doing. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Again, we'll just have to wait and see. Again, we're 7 months away from the launch. So are they keeping the 200 megapixel sensor on the Ultra? Let's find out. Yes, S25 Ultra is keeping the 200 megapixel main sensor, and its 50 megapixel 5x zoom camera will remain the same as well. So slight adjustments for the S25 Ultra, no adjustments camera wise for the S25 and S25 Plus. So let's see here.